Hi, my name's Carole. Welcome to Hummingbird Spot. This is episode 5, covering the hummingbirds that I photographed the first time I went to Peru. If you haven't seen any of my previous episodes, you can click there. After we left Wemba, we went to the Waqanki Lodge in Moyobamba, and as soon as we pulled into this place, I could see that this was going to be a great place to photograph hummingbirds. Gardens everywhere, flowers blooming every direction I looked. The Waqanki Lodge is a private family-owned business, and they have accommodations. They've got a restaurant with wonderful food, and they have a lot of birding trails. There's a trail that is an energetic hike up a hill, but there they have an observation tower where you could go up and look down on a lot of the flowers and plants that they have in the area. They also have hummingbird feeders hanging from the tower and on the grounds immediately around the tower. So you have plenty of opportunities to get some gorgeous birds. They had quite a few hummingbirds here that we've photographed previously, like the White-necked Jacobin, which is so common. I think it's practically everywhere except on my balcony. And the beautiful Rufous-crested Coquette. Here on the grounds, I got 7 beautiful new hummingbirds that I hadn't photographed yet. The Amethyst Woodstar is a new hummingbird for me. They're kind of on the small side. They have short little wings, and when they're flying around you, you can definitely hear that they sound a little different. The males have a kind of longish forked tail and a brilliant pink gorget. There was this one male that liked to perch on top of a dried seed pod, and he would sit there a lot, so it gave us a lot of opportunity to video and to photograph him there. The blue-tailed emerald. I was so happy to see this bird. Is really green, has a little bit of bluish in the face, and the tail is a beautiful blue. I went on a cruise to the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, thinking that I was going to see a blue-tailed emerald. And all 3 islands, I rented a car and drove around to gardens and anywhere that I saw flowers, thinking that I would find a hummingbird. And no, I never saw it. So after wasting all my time on the island looking for this bird, I could have just gone to the beach and waited to come here to the Waqanki Lodge, where I would get some really nice pictures of this bird. Just so you know, never go birding off of a cruise ship, because the ship just doesn't dock early enough. By the time the ship docks, it clears customs, you get off, and get to where you want to be, the birds are all finished feeding for the morning, and it's hot down there, so they found a nice shady spot just to hang out all day. Then when it's time to leave on the cruise ship and you're going back to the ship, that's when it's the evening feed time and the birds come back out again. So you totally miss them. The black-throated mango is a cousin of the green-breasted mango that we saw in Honduras. Bigger bird, beautiful green and blue feathers, but it's a black-throated mango because it's got a patch of black feathers on its throat extending down to its abdomen, so it's fairly easy to identify. It's pretty widespread throughout lower Central America and throughout South America. The fork-tailed woodnymph. This is really a standout. They're pretty common throughout South America. There are actually several different subspecies of them depending on where you find it. But it's got obviously a forked tail, a beautiful green head, and brilliant blue chest and abdomen. I loved photographing this one because he just stands out, and I was able to get his tongue out quite a few times. The white-chinned sapphire is found in lots of places throughout South America. It looks kind of dark when you first glance at it, but it's got a orange beak, reddish orange beak with a black tip. And when the light hits it just right, brilliant blue and purple and aqua feathers all around the head and the top of its body show up. There were 2 hermits that showed up while we were at the Waqanki Lodge. They both showed up in the area around the observation tower. The first one is the great-billed hermit. This is a larger bird. It's got a long tail, white on the feather tips, and it's got a pretty long beak. It did come to the feeders, and I've found hermits very, very difficult to photograph. First of all, a lot of them are difficult to find. They don't just stick around, and they don't usually perch anywhere where you can see them. But we were fortunate that a couple of them did come to the feeders at Waqanki so we could see them. The other one is a much smaller one, the black-throated hermit. Now, obviously it has a little patch of black feathers underneath its throat, so you could recognize it. This place is unbelievable for hummingbirds. I mean, if you really want to see different kinds of exotic hummingbirds, you want to come here. There's 20 different species. Each one is more beautiful than the last. They had lots of verbena plants at Waqanki Lodge, and the hummingbirds love verbena. The nectar in verbena must be super sweet. But it's very difficult to photograph birds in verbena. First of all, the plants are wild. They're just like sticks going up with little purple or pink blossoms on them. And the blooms are really tiny. So there's only a speck of the sweet nectar inside of the flowers. So that means the hummingbirds are constantly on the move from one flower to the next to the next. They only spend a portion of a second at each flower. So if you're trying to follow a hummingbird, they can be very, very difficult to photograph because you're just constantly moving. So a little trick I've found to try to photograph in the verbena is to find the hummingbird and focus on a flower that the hummingbird hasn't visited yet and just wait until the bird comes into your viewfinder and then catch it at that flower. That's the only way I could seem to get them. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell because next Sunday, we're still going to be in Peru, but it's going to be 3 months later. The next trip to Peru, we went back to Northern Peru because I really wanted to see the male marvelous spatule-tailed display in the lek. And then we went to Cusco, to Ollantaytambo, and to Manu National Park, where we saw some glorious hummingbirds on the next trip. See you then.